yourself and your higher power a hand.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's literature in the back. The softbound is free for the taking, and the hardbound is what it costs the group. And you can see Todd if you need any literature. I'm going to pass around the nose due basket. If you haven't been in the program for 30 days, don't have a job, let it go by. Keep in with the 7th tradition. The person I asked, the lady I asked to give a lead tonight, I met her last couple months ago at a meeting, and I really like what she has to say. She has a lot of energy, and she always has a smile, and she's always, every time I went to the meeting, she always asked me how I'm doing. And that means a lot to me because a lot of people don't, but it's people that reach their hand out that attract me. And I know she works a good program because I like to hear what she has to say. So will you help me welcome Stephenie?
Hi, I'm Stephenie. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is January 19th, 2011. Let's see, where do I start? I didn't start drinking until the day I got divorced. I was 27 years old, and I married a man who would not allow me to drink, smoke, no drugs, no red meat, no sugar. I mean, this was my life. He picked out my clothes for me. He picked out my shoes. He wouldn't allow me to cut my hair. I was pretty much under his control. And it was a fear-based relationship, and I was not going to step out of those boundaries in any form. So on that, I can thank him because I got 10 extra years of not being an alcoholic, because I'm pretty sure had I gone off to college and done what I was supposed to do, I might be dead right now, or maybe I would have found you guys sooner. But God had another plan. So the day I got divorced, we went to a bar to celebrate this parting of our ways. And I had a drink. I had the first drink that I had had since I was probably 16 years old, because back then, you went and had a couple drinks or whatever else. And so from there, as I was drinking this very first drink that meant freedom to me, I knew it was on. I can tell you pretty much for the next 8 years of my life, I didn't have many sober moments. There was, I know, we talk about the times we tried to stay sober. I never tried to stay sober. Once I had that feeling, I never wanted to know the feeling of staying sober. I enjoyed being drunk. It was amazing to me. I never had to face reality that way. I would watch my kids during the day, and my ex would have them at night. And all through the day, all I could do was wait for my ex to pick up my children so that I could get to the bar again and get home just in time to watch my kids again. This is what I did for years. I found a job in a bar, of course, where I could drink. That made it so I never had to be sober. It was awesome. It was a place where, I was supposed to drink. Of course, that got me into a lot of trouble at my job, where I was the only person in 19 years that was ever asked to, well, not asked, I was told I would lose my job if I continued to drink. My manager would come out and take the first sip of my drinks, which would be cranberry juice, and I had my bottle in my purse so that as soon as he had that one sip, I could go and stick my vodka in there. I guess it was, what year was it? 2007, 2008, somewhere in there. I was driving home from work, and it's funny because this was the day I had the least to drink. I was supposed to take my daughter out and So I promised myself I wouldn't drink. I had a glass and a half of wine that day, but I had done a whole bunch of other things that day, and a friend of mine handed me a few Xanaxes so that I could behave normally when I got home. I passed out at the wheel, hit another car. We both hit a tree. The truck was on top of me, on fire. And I sat in that vehicle and flames all around me, thinking to myself, I'm just going to stay right here. I don't want to face what's out there. I was willing to die in flames other than walk out of my vehicle to deal with the police. People came, grabbed me out of the car. I really had no choice at that point. So I get out there. I'm sitting on the bumper of the policeman's car, and of course it's time for the sobriety. Whatever it's called. I'm sorry. I did great. I could walk heel to toe one way, and on the back way, I crawled. I fell, I crawled, and I woke up after 3 Xanaxes in a cell the next day going, oh no, where am I? What am I doing? Oh God. I didn't even know what county I was in. I could have been in Dade, I could have been in Broward, I could have been in Palm Beach, Florida at this point. I figured out I was in Fort Lauderdale. I knew one person's number in Fort Lauderdale that could get a hold of the right people to bail me out of jail. And at that point, I had to, in order to get my license back, I had to go through a 24-hour class, that teach you how to drunk drive class that they have down there. And to begin with, they give you an assessment on, how bad of a drunk are you? And of course, I lied through my teeth. And even at that, it came back that I was pretty bad, and I probably needed to go into treatment and this and that. But see, I took my class in Palm Beach, but I was on probation and having to deal with everything in Fort Lauderdale. In Palm Beach, if it comes back even iffy, they make you go into treatment for a year. Fort Lauderdale, iffy, they don't care. You're good, keep going. So I skirted around this program at that point, because I would have been in treatment and they would have been sending me to AA meetings 7 days a week. But somehow, it wasn't my time. So God didn't, see it fit for me to do that. He decided I had a lot more drinking to do in my life. A lot more. From there, I get into trouble again. Shocking. I get into trouble again down the road, and it isn't a DUI, it isn't, I don't even remember what it was. I was caught driving without a license, that's what it was. And so I've messed up my probation, and now I'm doing weekends in jail. And I don't know how many people have been in jail here, but I can tell you, having to go Friday morning or Friday afternoon every Friday for 8 weeks and voluntarily go, here, please bring me back to jail, and then getting out Monday, that's got to be harder than just staying there. When you have no choice, you have no choice. But when you have to bring yourself back there, I thought that was harder than anything else. I got into some trouble while in my weekend program, of course, and yet again, trying to not deal with reality for the weekends. I snuck some Xanax in, took them right before, I got in there. And while waiting to get back into the cell, I went forward to tie a shoe and went bam and smacked my head into the concrete, which was the first thing. They actually still brought me back, and then I got into a fight with some girl. I've been told that I almost killed this girl, and I ended up in county at that point, where I met the biggest loser you can find, of course. But he could get me all kinds of stuff that I really, really wanted. And I was back with my ex-husband. I don't know how to explain that, but I was back with my ex-husband. And I wanted away. So I got with this guy after he got out of jail. And next thing I knew, my ex-husband had taken my children and ran somewhere with them. I didn't know. I didn't know where he went. I didn't know why he went. All I knew was that everybody was gone. I was alone. And my parents stopped talking to me. My sisters stopped talking to me. My friends stopped talking to me. Pretty much everybody I knew all of a sudden stopped talking to me. But I really didn't care. Or I did care. There were moments of, oh my God, where are my kids? I can't believe I'm going through this. Why aren't my mom and dad talking to me? They've never done this to me. Well, it turns out that this loser I was with molested my 14-year-old daughter. And when I found this out, my ex-husband finally called me up and said, look, I know you don't know what's going on, but this is what happened. The only way I'm ever going to allow you back in your children's life is if you get this guy put in jail. And this guy, I spent pretty much every day being his punching bag. But I was drunk, or whatever else I was, and I didn't care. I did not care. All I cared about was, the numbness, the drunk, just did not care. I tried every day. I would call 911, start a fight with this guy, be his punching bag. The cops would come, and this guy was smart enough to hide where he was getting me. So I would, of course, fight back, and he would have scratches and bruises on his face, and they'd be wanting to they would be, okay, well, ma'am, he's got the scars. We're gonna take you to jail. No, never mind. Okay, and he knew how to play the game. Got to a point where I came home one day, and he started in. I walked through the door. He started in on me in the kitchen. I grabbed a knife, and we lived in this crappy, excuse my language, little place. But in Florida, it had a bomb shelter. It's the craziest thing, but it was like one of only 10 bomb shelters in all of South Florida. I took this knife, I took my cell phone, I chucked it one way, and I went the other, and I crawled into this bomb shelter, and bam, I didn't want to live anymore. I couldn't stop drinking, I couldn't get away from this guy. Everybody had abandoned me as far as I knew. I had one way out. It was the only thing I knew that I could do. And I sat there and watched it drip. It was the most calming feeling I have ever had. I'm going to be honest. His brother came and found me and took me to the hospital. And, of course, there was the 48-hour hold and the suicide watch and all the rest of it. And I formed a plan while I was in there. I did. I got out. I went to work. I used somebody else's phone. I called my sister, and I said, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happened, but I need you. I need out of this situation. What can we do? She was coming. My grandmother lives in St. Pete, Florida. They were all coming down 10 days from them. I found somebody who would drive me to St. Pete from West Palm Beach and drop me off. And I was free. A couple days into this plan, they say the worst part of getting away from somebody who's abusive is when you're going to leave. You gotta be real quiet about it. I was quiet. It was one of the worst fights that we had ever had. Bloody and freaked out, and I called my sister and I said, I can't make it 10 days. Please, I'm scared to death of birds. I cannot stand birds, I'm going to tell you that. And my statement was, if you can find eagles that'll come down and pick me up and get me home, my whole family lived in Virginia, please do it. Just get me out of this. I ran out of that house, had to hide in the intercoastal for an hour and a half while I waited for my ride to get me to the airport. Wet, soaking wet, drunk, of course, but knew that I had to get out of there. I did it. The funniest thing is I'm in the airport. I have my wallet that I hid. I have a book, and I have my cell phone, and that's all I have, the clothes on my back. And I'm spending the night in the airport, and the announcement keeps saying, if you see anybody suspicious, please report it. And I'm walking back and forth, and I'm crying, and I'm wet, and I'm nasty, and I'm going, I'm suspicious. Me! Somebody should be calling the cops on me. But somehow I made it through that night, and I got on that plane, and I got on the second plane, and I made it to Virginia, and they were pretty sure that after 24 hours I was going to get there and be in withdrawals. My dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse, and they were just waiting for any sign that they were going to have to rush me to the hospital. Because somewhere along the line, little town in Virginia decided I was a crack whore living on the streets selling myself. I never got to that point, by the way. But these were the rumors being told. And my dad got there with a dozen roses, crying his eyes out because his oldest daughter was there. He was sure I wouldn't come, but I did. I was there. And I still got there. I was safe living in my parents' basement, and I'm still drinking. Finally had some consequences. I did get the jerk put in jail. He bragged to me on Facebook that he stole a Mercedes to come up and get me back in Virginia. And I did an anonymous tip, and they were looking for the guy who stole the Mercedes, and they were looking for him to get him to put him in jail for what happened to my daughter. They could never find him. I don't know why the cops were there every other day, but they couldn't find him. Like, what are y'all, a bunch of morons? But so finally got him in jail, but I had consequences. 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of minors. I was drinking, my daughter drank, and her friend drank. I had to do alcohol therapy. And this is where my higher power stepped in. Because she one day mentioned to me that it isn't part of my probation. I didn't have to do it. But she would really like me to go to one AA meeting. Walk in, see if I like it, try it, If I can't stand it, I don't have to do it. Just come back and report that I don't want to do it again. And of course, I procrastinated. And okay, let me back up, actually. I went to church a few weeks before this with my mom. And this woman walked up to me and said, you're Sandy's oldest daughter. And I said, yeah. She goes, you're the one with the problem. I said, oh, no, that's my sister. Not me. My sister, we're all screwed up. Long line of screwed up. But it couldn't be me. I'm standing there living in my parents' basement, and it couldn't be me. I got with a man who beat me every day. One day, 17 bones broken in my face one night, and I don't have a problem. I went back to him. So, I denied that. I was so mad at my mom. How dare she? How could she ever tell somebody that I have a problem? So, this counselor tells me to go to AA. This woman, sober in AA, and that's why she was coming to me, because she knew I had a problem, and she had a problem, and she could help me. And I had to call her up and say, hey, look, I need to go to an AA meeting. Will you please take me? And on the way there, she explained exactly what was going to happen when I walked into the basement of this church in South Hill, Virginia. And I didn't have to say a word, didn't have to announce myself if I didn't want to, nothing. Just sit and listen. And she handed me my big book. She said, I have a present for you here. And it had all of her notes, and it's highlighted, and I still have it. I've never actually, I read it from her, but I bought myself another one because that's precious to me, and I have that in a special place. But I walked in, and she knew everybody, pretty much. She kind of knew everybody. But I'm in this basement of this church, and I can't tell you what anybody said during this meeting at all. I can tell you I looked around and I thought to myself, how the heck did I get here? There's a 6'5" dude with tats all over him. One of them is a ode to his horrible ex-wife, who ended up to be my sponsor for 3 years, by the way. Things like that. And I did. I don't know what happened, what came over me, but when it came to, anybody here for your first meeting, blah, 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 I said, I'm Stephenie and I'm an alcoholic. And I had never uttered the I'm an alcoholic. I don't know why it happened that time, or that night, but it did. And I sat through this meeting, and all I could feel was that this is where I belong. These people, I got to meet everybody. After the meeting, this old crotchety guy from New Jersey, took me outside and qualified me. Oh, I also have to tell you that I got my white chip. There, it's a white chip for the 24-hour coin, by this gentleman that is going to marry me on Saturday, by the way. The New Jersey guy, he took me outside and he qualified me. And he said a few things, and this is where I knew I was going to come back, and I didn't care what it took to get back. He told me that, number one, I never had to drink again. And that was like the biggest load off my shoulders. Okay, how do you do that? If you know how to make it so I never drink again, I want that. The other thing he told me, and I'm going to do the nice version of it, I'm not going to say what he exactly said to me, was I need to sit down and shut up. The only thing I know how to do is get somebody else drunk, that he will let me know when it's time for me to speak. And I'll tell you what, I listened to him. I didn't speak for 9 months, not in a meeting. I introduced myself, but that was it. I never, ever spoke up in a meeting. I listened for the first time in God knows how long. And I listened to what you guys had to say, and I did what you guys had to say. And I started working the steps. And then the first sponsor was this crazy lady that I talked to her one time and went, oh my God, I don't want what she has. Please, no, God, please. She's crazy. Second one, great. And then she got a little involved with something else, and I had to get another sponsor, and she took me through the steps. She got me through the steps, and while sitting there telling my horrible, dirty secrets that, I had, she just kind of went, yeah, let me tell you my story. Let me tell you what I've done. I can top that. And I started to realize that I'm not unique. I'm all the horrible things that I've done in my life, there's some I'm forgiven for. As long as, one day at a time, I try to be better every day. And I do that. I was told to wake up in the morning and pray, meditate. I was told, I could start my day over. That when all hell was breaking loose, I could stop and reach out to my higher power and I could turn it over. And I never knew how to do that. I never knew, I don't know, I was popular. I was one of those girls that everybody wanted to be like, but I never felt okay in my skin. I always felt like I needed to be somebody else, that there was something wrong with me, that they just couldn't see it, that, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And while working these steps and making friends, genuine people, I've moved to Ohio now, and I still have these friends in AA in Virginia. I have one coming up, Friday for our wedding, and that's amazing to me. He's going to come 10 hours on a motorcycle to be there for he and I getting married. And it's an amazing thing for me because I don't have friends. I never did have friends. I have people that I can tell you that, I'll call up and no problem, we can talk, but they don't know me. They know some shell of a person that I wanted them to see. And now I can be me. I'm Stephenie. I have my kids back. I right now have 6 children in a 1,500 square foot townhouse. I have my 19-year-old daughter, her 2 babies, my 18-year-old, my 11-year-old, and my 10-year-old that I was supposedly never going to have in my life again. And I had to hold out. My 18-year-old, every time I would come visit, she would run away. But I kept just doing what I was supposed to do. The next right thing. I kept coming to AA. I kept going to church. I kept just becoming the person that I keep becoming. And she's here. She's spending 3 weeks with me. That's the most I've seen her since she was 13 years old. She couldn't wait to see her mom. And she calls me. I talk to her probably 5 times a week. They all live with their dad. That's another long story, but had nothing to do with my alcoholism. It had everything to do with the fact that I thought I was doing the right thing because I didn't want to fight about who was going to have my children. Probably a good thing because they didn't need to go through the ride that I went on. They didn't. And I don't know. I'm happy. I am so happy today. I'm 3 days away, 4 days away from getting married, and I'm speaking to you guys tonight, and I have everything together and ready, and I don't have any I don't have any reason to become a bridezilla right now. And I thought I'd get to this point and completely be freaking out. Like, oh my God, what am I doing? I can't do this. But I still wake up every morning and I still pray to my higher power and I meditate, and I can start my day over when all hell breaks loose. And I'm going to tell you, 2 nights ago, in this apartment complex, my 2 younger kids friended these girls across the way, and I don't know when it happened, but 10 and 11-year-old girls are not what I was used to having 10 and 11-year-old girls. They're some nasty people. These girls told my 10 and 11 and my 18-year-old that their mother was going to come smash my face in with a bat. And it started a war, and they came home and they were freaking out, and I'm like, guys, I'm not worried about it. Nobody's going to threaten my mother. Guys, if somebody shows up with a baseball bat, we're going to call the cops. It's really simple. And for me to say I'm going to call the cops is the most amazing thing, because I would really rather go hide under my bed than ever talk to a cop again. So later on, parents show up, and I'm very nervous because here's mom that's going to bash my face in for God knows what reason. And I tried to handle it very calmly. And then my son would not move out of the way and got loud and belligerent. And I grabbed him by his arm and moved him back. And the mom called the cops on me that I was domestically abusing my 11-year-old. So here come the cops. It was crazy. I wasn't even really nervous. I was just like, oh, okay, fine, we'll do this. I haven't lived in an apartment actually, I haven't lived in an apartment since I was 20 years old, so I forgot what it was like. But I handled that, and it's amazing because I didn't absolutely go nuts and, go hide under my bed. I just calmly went and got my son so they could see that I didn't, beat the crap out of him or anything else. And I said, obviously I don't spank my children. And one of the police officers said, oh, we fully believe in spanking, ma'am. Go for it. Okay, cool. Yay. Because my son needs it. He's going through puberty. I don't know how anybody ever survives puberty with a kid, but I'm working on it. I don't know. I just know that my life today is amazing. They say not to make any drastic changes in your first year of sobriety, of course. You're supposed to go and do exactly what you were supposed to be doing. Well, the guy who handed me my 24-hour coin, I had a crush on from the very beginning. And when I talked to New Jersey dad over here, he said, oh, he's never going to ask you out. Your sobriety is too important. Yes, he really likes you, but he's never going to ask you out. He's, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have to do it. And I went, me? I've never had to ask a guy out. Are you crazy? Come on, look at me. I don't have to ask anybody out. Sorry, the ego. There's definitely an ego there still. But I swallowed my pride, and I asked him out, and we went for coffee the first night, and we had been doing the meeting after the meeting kind of as a group. There were 2 dads and he and I, and we hung out a lot, and from there we started dating. And I, of course, right after that, I guess a month and a half, 2 months after that, moved in with him. Don't do anything drastic during your first year of sobriety. Just don't do it. I didn't listen to all the suggestions. 3.5 years later, we are here, and obviously, I'm quite excited. We moved here last September, and that was one of the harder things in sobriety for me. You guys do AA a lot differently than I'm used to. So it took me a little while. We kept going to meeting after meeting after meeting, and I didn't feel comfortable to begin with. And we finally found a couple meetings that really remind us of home. And we started going, and we continued to go. And I found a sponsor. She's exactly like my old sponsor, and that's what's cool. I actually have found pretty much the same people that I fell in love with back in Virginia. You guys just have different faces and different, voices and different ways of speaking. But I found pretty much the same exact sponsor that I had in Virginia here. Part of the reason I picked the first sponsor was she scared me, and I needed somebody who was going to scare me. Not the first sponsor, but the one that stuck, the one that I've kept. I pretty much just called her my sponsor, and she scared me. She was gonna put a boot, where it doesn't belong if I didn't do what she said. She actually dropped me one time because I didn't do what she said. That was it. I can't do it. Sorry. And I had to crawl back and go, okay, I'll do whatever you say. Please don't leave me again. Please, I need you. And she didn't. And that was one of those hard lessons that I needed to learn, that, I needed to listen. But I found another sponsor like that up here, and I'm so grateful that I have her. I'm not real good with the phone. I don't know why. I'll text all day long. I'll Facebook you all day long. But as soon as I have to have a conversation on the phone, and it doesn't matter if it's, my mom, my dad, my daughters, my son, anybody. I hate the phone. My fiance, he'll call me and I'm like, okay, let's do the business out. Okay, cool. Love you. Bye. That's it. I don't want to talk on the phone. But I'm learning. I'm still getting better at it. I actually have called her in the last few months and had a few things that I really, really needed some help with, and she got me through it. And I'm here, and I'm sober, and I'm still doing the same things I was told to do from the beginning. Gratitude list, when I'm really, really down and I don't know where else to turn, a gratitude list is the best thing that I can think to do. I can always come up, even if I don't know that I can come up with it, I can always come up with 10 reasons that I'm grateful to be here today and be sober today. I look back on all those gratitude lists that I've done in the past, and I'm like, wow, how far have I come? I remember the first days of going, a gratitude list? I live in my parents' basement. What the heck do I have to be grateful? Of course, let me explain my parents' basement. It is on a lake, on 2.5 acres of land, with every water toy you could think of. And anything I ever wanted was there. I mean, that was the other thing when I got sober. My parents didn't stop drinking. My sister, who lives next door to my parents, she's still drinking. She thinks she's sober, but she's still drinking and doing her pills. But yeah, so she was there. Last time I was at her house, she still has my frozen bottle of vodka in her freezer for me. Still waiting for me. It's there. I haven't touched it. Haven't gotten near it in, over 3.5 years. But she's still got it for, when I come back to her, I think is what she's thinking. But the fridge was right behind my head. Like, where they kept their alcohol was in a fridge downstairs. There was one tiny little accordion thing and then the fridge. And I got sober in the middle of that. And I guess I was 3 months sober. And at 9 a.m., my mother woke up and I was sitting at the table, and she brought out 2 glasses of wine. I'm sorry, she brought out 2 wine glasses and my favorite bottle of wine. And she sat down and she said, Stephenie, just because you're changing and you like how you're changing doesn't mean that we like how you're changing. And tried to get me to drink at 9 a.m. that day. And I didn't do it. My mother wanted me to drink. She couldn't stand the fact that I was changing, that I wasn't that same poor, pathetic child that she needed to save. They really like their kids when they need them. They don't really like their kids to stand on their own 2 feet. They don't understand how that could be. And they're starting to come around. They're learning. I had to give myself some distance from these people for quite a while because it kept getting worse and worse and worse. But I stayed strong. I remember dinners where I would just hold on to the table because I was so desperately not going to drink. But that same New Jersey dad in AA, he was going to pick me up and he was going to take me to a meeting every day. And if he couldn't do it, there was another AA dad that was going to pick me up and take me to a meeting. And that's what this program is about. We help each other. And I didn't understand it at first. I was sure. I mean, come on. I was sure that they had horrible ideas about what was going to happen when I got into the car with these guys. And I look back and I think how silly that is. I mean, all these guys were doing was this program. They were working this program to the best of their ability and getting a sick alcoholic to a meeting and helping her in every way that they possibly could. And I give them a lot of credit for what they did for me because I needed them. They saved me. My sister, who had been in AA, a paper signer, had to go to AA. She convinced my family. I, of course, didn't have a driver's license. I still don't have a driver's license, by the way. That I only needed to go to a meeting maybe once a month, so that nobody wanted to drive me to a meeting. They once a month they would drive me to a meeting, and thank God for these guys because they were willing. I mean, they were willing to come half an hour out of their way to pick me up or whatever it was. And if I needed them at 3 a.m, they were willing. And then I met some women. I didn't like most women to begin with. I mean, I didn't, but I'm getting better about liking women. The more I like myself, the more I like women. I don't think every one of you guys is out to stab me in the back anymore because that's how I lived. I was sure every woman wanted whatever I had and they were willing to do whatever it took to get it. Of course, I needed to realize that once I started having some confidence in myself, they couldn't get what I had. I mean, they could try, but they couldn't have exactly what I had. And if they did get what I had, then I didn't need it. And I don't know. I'm so happy today. And I didn't know happiness. I spent my entire life not knowing happiness. And the last 3.5 years, day by day, just has gotten better. And no, they haven't been perfect, of course, but I can handle it better. I can handle the situations better. The thing that happened a couple nights ago, I would have been packing to leave, and I just moved in 2 weeks ago. I would have been out of there. I don't care. I'm out of here. I'm not living here. Oh my God, they think I abuse my kids and all the rest of it and blah, blah, blah. And I have to realize that it's not me. I can only control my reactions. The people across the way that are raising their kids to want to bash my head in with a baseball bat for no apparent reason, that isn't my problem. That's their problem. They have to look within themselves when they're ready to figure out why, their kids are the way they are. And I'm grateful to you guys for, all over the country, wherever I am, I know there's an AA meeting to go to. So I don't really have much more to say, to be honest. I am so grateful for the ability to speak tonight. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for being here for me.
She's floor for comments for Stephenie.